Hello, ladies, and welcome to LOL Living Out Loud. This is season 4, and our theme for the season is freestyle. It's whatever. So grab your girls, grab a drink, grab a pen, grab your journal, and meet me here at LOL Living Out Loud. Tonight is girls' night, girls' chat. We're getting it in. I had to hit record because we are laughing and talking already. So go ahead and grab your drink, grab your journal, grab a pen, call your girls, and welcome to Girls Chat. I've got hanging with me tonight Sammy, Lori, Regina, and Marty. So they don't know what we're talking about, but Regina and I were having a conversation and this came up. I asked her, and we really started talking. I said, "No, stop, wait. We're going to wait until we can have a girls' chat." So here it is. I was thinking about, men that approach me or a couple of men that I have met when I tried the online, which we're going to get to tonight, too, the online dating thing. And I have found that I do not swipe right or I am not interested and I have reasons. And for my listening audience, please don't judge, but there's a reason why I'm here. And the question I asked Regina is, Regina, are you okay with going out with a man that doesn't have a degree? There's the question. So, ladies, give it some thought. Does it matter to you if, I don't mean if the man is educated, because educated doesn't mean academics, right? We can be educated just living our life, being a full life in military, our jobs, living, blah, blah, blah. So we do want a man that's educated, intelligent, and all of that. But does it matter to you if a brother has a degree? And if it does, why? And if it doesn't, why? Why are you so quiet?
Topic. I'll go ahead and start. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Lori,
Lori.
y'all, that's
Okay.
Lori.
Set it off, Lori. Set it off for us,
Okay.
Lori.
So I've been doing online dating for the past 2 years. And, I've had some hit or misses. And I will admit that I have a criteria that I like to have in a guy. And only because my thought is whatever I'm looking for in somebody, I make sure I can match it. Right. So my thought is this: I'm an educated woman. So I would meaning with a degree. So therefore, my preference is for a guy who has a degree. But at the same time, I'm open to somebody who is blue collar and does not. I think the reason why I'd like to have somebody that has a degree is so that we have similar interests, and I am looking for a professional guy, right? And it's like because I want somebody who has similar interests with me, you know. And some guys I've gone out with that are like blue collar. I mean, many times it's like, and again, I'm just saying this, but like some guys that are blue collar, let's say if they're wearing a baseball cap all the time, sometimes it's a certain way they dress or some certain things that they do that it's not what I do. I'm not familiar with or whatever. So I do have a preference, but I'm not saying that I'm not open to someone who doesn't have a degree, but that is my preference. And I only say that because that's what I bring to the table. So what I'm asking for is what I make sure I'm bringing.
And Lori, I love the way you said that because I absolutely
Hmm.
100% agree.
Hmm.
What I am bringing, I want what I'm giving, I want somebody to bring.
Yep.
it's, and I find so my life, the way my life is set up, the way my life is set up. My college friends, we do ever since the pandemic, we have done a every other week get together, happy hour, Zoom, whatever, because we're so connected that way, right? And so that's what I do. And my college friends mean the world to me. One of my girlfriends just lost her mother. We went through a whole. So you may not understand that connection if you never experience that connection,
Right.
right?
Great.
I went to Howard University and got
Thank
my
you.
master's degree. I know.
You
And
know.
I have friends that I'm connected to in that way. Some of them are like, you know, famous. Richard Smallworth, Ernest Pugh, they were like sitting in the table, they were sitting next to me. Byron Cage, you know, I mean, like, I'm just saying, some of these people, but, and so therefore, people, you may not understand that if, you know, because you may not understand that I was sitting next to Richard Smallwood in class. Like, I don't look at him as a he is who he is, right? And I respect his gift and his talent, but he was my classmate. And that's what I call him online. Like I always say, classmate or something. So
Yeah.
if you haven't been in those environments with me, you may not understand my connection in that way.
Mhm.
So I now, on the other hand, there are gentlemen, there are men who have achieved a lot. They've done a lot of self-teaching, right? They may not have gotten that degree, but they've done a lot of self-teaching. So, and they, you know, operate in circles and they move in circles which I move in, right? They operate and can handle. That's another thing because I'm real social. If you don't have a degree, you're going to if you're going to feel compromised in the circles that I'm in. You're going to feel insecure. You're not going to feel comfortable because people going to ask you where you went to college. I'm just saying the circles I roll in. People going to ask you where you went to college.
That's actually a DC metropolitan area question. You know,
Mm.
people ask you here, where did you go
Well,
to school?
Nobody has ever asked me that, but go ahead.
Really?
no, because I mean, but yeah, okay. But anyway, so that's all I have to say. Go ahead, ladies, take it away.
Well, I just, Sammy, do you want to go first?
So you can go.
Okay. Well, for me, um, it doesn't necessarily matter that they have a college degree, but if they have pedigree and if they have, because I didn't come up around a whole lot of college educated people. I went into the military. I had gone to college for a few years and dropped out because I didn't know what was going on and where I wanted to go. So I went into the military, and let me tell you, some very intelligent, very wonderful people that I have encountered who have no college degree, who are far more successful than I am, and who know how, their way around anyone, can have a conversation with anyone. I don't necessarily use that as a criteria. I judge people on how they are on the inside. I judge it. Are you a decent person? Are you well read? Because being well read does not necessarily equate to education for me.
You mean academic
Um,
education? Yeah,
exactly,
just
academic education.
is
But do
academic.
you have an education in life? Can you adapt to different situations? Can you
Yes,
adapt to different crowds and different individuals and
yes,
people? And my thing is, it's about your character. Big for me, it's more so about the character for me rather than the education, because I know some snobby wannabe bougie Negroes who act like they were born with a the monarch spoon in their mouths. And I'm like, you might be second or third generation, maybe well off or whatever, but you're not that far along, where they think that they're better than others. And I
Mhm.
don't want to be associated with a person like that. I would like a person who is, again, we have to, what did I call that? What do they call that? We have to be able to adapt and change to each situation, especially as Black people. We traverse these different stratas every day. Socioeconomic strata, we got to go back. Some of us go back to the hood, but we're able to go to corporate America, and we're able to go to different places and able to adapt to different situations. That's the type of brother I want. I need a brother that's adaptable, a brother that's got integrity, he's got ethic, he's well versed, well read, well knowledgeable, and however, but he's still able to be down to earth and understand where he comes from. And I guess for me, that's the most important thing, because That's where I come from. Yes, I just happen to have been blessed enough to go to school to be able to go. But many of the folks that I grew up with, they didn't go to school. They didn't have the means. They didn't come from that type of background. However, some of the smartest people you know, you're not going, they're very sharp and they're very adaptable. So I go by how the individual is overall versus I don't necessarily use education as a barrier for my dating. Now, there's a difference between ignorance and somebody who who can
That's why I
adapt
said
to
education
situations.
and academic, right?
Yeah, because I
Right.
don't want no ignorant,
Yeah.
I don't want no ignorant individual saying things that are inappropriate or whatever. I need somebody that knows how to conduct themselves no matter where they are. And so that's what I look for, somebody who is adaptable and interchangeable.
Okay.
That's my
So
Well,
I didn't answer.
Can I tell you to put a pin in, Val?
Yeah, go ahead, because I want to see what
Because
Sam was
she
gonna say.
said my brothers, so I want to talk about interracial dating too. But go ahead,
Okay.
Sam.
Go ahead.
okay. So I say ditto to Marty. I didn't get my degree until I was well in my 40s. So I didn't make friends with people in school. They probably thought I was their mama. So you know what I mean? I didn't have anything in common with those people but getting a degree. You know, we're on a fast track to trying to get a degree. And I remember being in class one time and uh I think I was the oldest person in the class and I was 40 and people were 19. I didn't have anything in common with them. They could be my children. So, but as far as picking somebody, I don't use a degree as a criteria either. I use character. I mean, I work in New Carrollton and it's some crazy people out there. So I don't necessarily want a hood rat either. I just want somebody that's loving, that has character, that loves family, that loves, but I don't use college as a criteria. I think that it's a lot of successful people out there. Nobody has ever asked me what college have I gone to. Not in my whole 50 something my years of of being alive. Nobody has ever asked me that. And so, but I second Marty. I don't use it at all.
So can I just tell y'all something?
Mhm.
I dated someone just recently who went to undergrad, went to Howard, and splits verbs, and it drives me crazy.
Now that drives me
Has
crazy.
his own business, has his own business, works in corporate, works in for the government, all of that kind of stuff. I'm telling you, him splitting those verbs drives me insane.
Okay, so let me second you on something. I know someone who talks about their self in third person, and
Jesus.
they are almost 50 years old. And you ask this dude how you doing, and he say me okay. I can scream.
No, he doesn't, Sam. No, he doesn't. You're talking
me
about Ruth.
okay.
Me
Yeah,
okay?
me okay.
So I get that. It's going to be some things that's
I'm
going to
like, what?
hit you. Some things that you like. You know what? No, I can't even talk to you.
He does not, though.
Go-
He does not.
Me okay.
How about mine says I'm going to make market? What? You're going to make market?
Mm.
I don't know what that
Excuse me?
means.
I'm
What does
going
it
to the grocery store. I'm going to the grocery store.
Oh.
And he
I knew
says
what you
it
were
so
saying. I
often.
knew what you were saying because I've
So-
heard people say I'm going to make groceries.
Yeah.
How do you make groceries?
Well, you don't, of course, Valerie, academia, Dr. Holmes. You
That's why I was
don't
like, oh,
make
no. Okay.
groceries.
Okay. So I didn't answer because I've had all week since me and Regina had this conversation, and I made her stop to give it some real thought.
Okay,
So
go
I'm
ahead.
going to go by my experience. So I've been married twice. And in my first marriage, I got accepted to law school. And I did not go to law school because he who had no degree, didn't matter to me, didn't want to see me go to law school because he had no degree.
Mm.
And I figured I would wait a year and then he would feel better about it. Well, clearly he didn't. We were divorced and I never went. Second marriage, Marty knows this. Second marriage, I wanted to go get my master's. I finished my master's while we were dating, and then we got married. So I finished my master's in that time period. But after I finished my master's, I was waiting 3 years and I wanted to go get my doctorate. Once again, my then husband did not want me to get my doctorate. He said that he didn't want me to get my doctorate until he got his master's. So every year I would say, well, are you going to register this year? Do you want me to help you fill out your stuff? So I guess what I've experienced is thus far two men married to that have wanted to compete with me.
Yes.
And that's problematic. But in my dating, when I have gone out with men, talked to men that did not have a degree, since having my doctorate, since Dr. Holmes is in front of it, I have met men that are extremely intimidated by it. And so instead of saying, good job, I'm sure it took some work, because you don't get degrees, any of them, not undergrad, not a master's, and not a doctorate, without some real sacrifice and effort. Real crap goes into getting those degrees. So every guy that I have talked to, every Black man that I have talked to has come with me with some sideways shade because of the degree. Oh, you think you're this, or
Yeah.
and so therefore, if I would happen to meet a man who did not happen to have any academic accomplishments, I would have to listen to what's on his mind. I would have to listen to his interests.
Yep.
I am not interested in any man that doesn't know what's going on in politics. I would never date a man who didn't vote. That's the same as him being
Yep.
just rolling a head, rolling on the ground. So I have some intellectual criteria, which doesn't require
Right.
college.
Right.
But my biggest fear is to run into a man again that I fall for, that takes undercover stabs at me because I am educated. And I don't know if anybody has experienced that, but I get shade often from
Often.
So
All
let me
the time.
ask you. So let me ask you, Valerie. So the men that you're talking about, your encounters, none of these men had college degrees.
my first husband did
No, I'm
not. My second husband did.
Okay, okay. So one did and one did not,
Right.
but the
And
outcome was still the same.
still the same.
Okay.
And
Because
the other
Valerie
guy-
wanted to go further
right.
in her educational studies. And so
It
the
had nothing
second
to do with them.
both of them, both of
Both
them.
of
So the one without a degree didn't want her to get a master's. And then the one who had a degree didn't want her to get a doctorate because he didn't have his further degree. So,
I have been in a church under a pastor with my master's and him with an undergrad. And my pastor said, this pastor says to me, I can't have anybody on my staff more educated than me.
right.
And so I think my experience wants to eliminate that being an issue. I have, when white men try to talk to me and they ask you if you've gone to college or whatever, I get a different response from them.
Okay, well, let's go there to the interracial.
Okay.
Look, because Marty was like, and the brothers, and I was like, okay, but let's not talk. But and I do believe this, and I watched our current vice president and her husband. He supports. I mean, you can just tell. I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens behind the scenes or whatever. But what I do see is that he supports everything, every step, every moment that she's going to take. And more so than anything, that's what I am looking for. I want you, if I decide I want to get my doctorate, I want you to say, okay, if I decide, let me go right here, right now, Valerie, to another situation. I've been with a brother who has just as many degrees as I have. Actually, he has more because I think he has more master's degrees. But because I chose a path of being equal to him as a pastor, the relationship failed. So I don't want anybody who's not riding with Regina because this is what I will say. Regina is always riding with the man. I am always, no matter if you don't have a degree. My daughter's father, he doesn't have a degree. He went to college, but he doesn't have a degree. But he is an excellent, excellent handyman. I created his business, helped him to do his business. I rode with him. I did that. My son's father, doesn't have an undergraduate degree, but went back to school to Lincoln and got his master's in human services, whatever that program is that they do, the master's in human services. And I rode with him. But I don't need you to compete with me. I am not that. I will not accept. You have to ride with me. And because I will always ride with you. That's just my nature. I'm going to ride with you. Go ahead.
Can I say this, you all?
Mm.
We know that we're not speaking in absolutes, right?
Right.
We don't speak in
Absolutely.
absolutes.
Mhm.
But can we also say that it is part of the people we attract?
Mhm.
Mm.
Because we also, and I'm not saying it's our fault,
Mhm.
Mhm.
but I feel like we're attracting people who see something in us that they wish that they had or they want to be, and they think that they can ride with us or
Oh,
jump on the train with us and get some of what we have instead of being able to stand on their own and stand in their own truth and be the people who they need to be. And I think that's part of it too. I think part of, and I'm going to say this about each and every person on this phone call, part of being the light is that we also attract the darkness.
woo!
Mm.
Regina, write that down.
Somebody need to write
Write that down.
That need to be on a shirt.
Okay.
No, and y'all, I'm not even trying to be prolific or anything like that, but I just really and truly believe
It's
that
true.
we attract those people who would come and try to drain us or come and try to control us
Yes.
into being what they want us to be,
Yes.
because they see something in us that they need and they want and
Yeah.
they lack. And so that's also the second part to this, because all of us have similar stories where we've met people who, and that's why I stopped putting the barriers on, because these people are both educated and uneducated, as we're talking about. It's not
Right.
relegated to one type of individual,
Right.
but those individuals have a similar type of insecurity.
Right.
Mm.
And we seem to attract strong women,
Yes.
confident
Lord.
women, people who are able to stand in their own truth seem to attract these type of people. And thank God we're at the point in our lives and the experiences in our lives where we're able to continue to stand in our own truth. And thank God we're not dependent on somebody for our self-worth.
But
Right.
Marty, what you just said, you know how a man calls himself Captain Save-A-Ho? Sometimes if there's a reverse, I must be Captainess Save-A-Ho. Because the men that you're talking about, that you attract because they see something in you, I don't want to fix nobody no more. I don't want to help anybody fill out a fit your own damn FAFSA out. I don't want to help anybody earn a degree again. First husband, second husband, if you listening, you wouldn't have nothing if I didn't help you get it. I don't want to do that anymore. So I think that's why I'm to the point where a degree is not necessarily required. But since I don't want to be a captain that save a hoe, then I want them to come fully manifested. By 50, I think it's okay for me to say, this is what I want, because I am tired of taking the risk of you saying something about what I got. And believe it or not, and I don't know if anybody's experienced, I get shade about this doctorate from men and women, and it hurts my feelings. And I don't know if anybody has recognized this. I seldom introduce myself or use doctor. And you know why I don't? Because I don't want anybody to think that I think that I got it going on or that I'm better than them. They don't know what this degree cost me. They don't know I was in Chicago and my mother was dying here. They don't know that.
Right.
Nor do they know how hard I had to work to get it.
But Val, I don't feel like you should have to dumb down what
I
you
don't
have
either.
accomplished for nobody because
don't
those
It
who
goes
love
both
you,
ways though. So
but
people, when you
Valerie,
want somebody to have a degree, they got something to say, you get one, people got something to say, especially black people.
But
but
why do you
Valerie,
have to change you in order
thank
to
you.
please anybody else?
That's what look.
If you
This
if
is
you
a
adopt
living out loud issue, right? Because seriously,
your
I-
Dr. Valerie,
I get small. I try to get small so other people can feel comfortable.
No, you should not. And if you have to get small because of someone else, then that's not who you need to be around.
That's,
right.
it is. That's true.
I
that's
mean,
right.
You know what?
Marty
I
knows
think
this
it's
even
something
at my
that
last
Wait a minute,
job
Lord.
that I had. Even at the last job that I had, they did not, the woman said, well, I hope you are not lying about your degree. It's just like, that happened.
Trick.
Yeah.
What
I
were you
think
gonna say,
as
Lori?
black women, I think that's something that we as black, because you know that, like black women, we are, and that's proven by statistics, is that we're the fastest growing group in terms of education and starting businesses.
That's right.
And I think historically, we're very strong, we're very resilient, and there's so many of us that are excelling. And there's not necessarily black men that they're not on that same, there's a big gap, and we know that, right? So as black women, we often feel like, well, okay, I want a guy who's equal to me, but somebody may say to you, well, your standards are too high. So therefore, sometimes we kind of dumb ourselves down a bit or dim our lights so that we can, so that we are at least giving somebody an opportunity. Because I know sometimes I would do that. I'll go, well, this guy's kind of goofy or he's this or that. Well, I guess I'll go up with him. And I've done that, and then
I've
later
done
I'm
it
like, why
too.
was I going out with that idiot? But you do it because you feel like, well, maybe my standards are too high. And it's like white women don't have these kind of conversations like that.
They
Because
look
there's
at
more
us.
white men.
Exactly. But that's the other thing. So that's why when it comes to interracial dating, I'll be honest with you.
Let's do that. Let's talk about that.
So here's the thing. My thought is I always want to be loyal to black men. That's always my preference, of course, right? That's always how I've been. I want a black man. I'm a black woman. But what I'm learning as I get older is all you're doing is making your net smaller. Your dating pool. You're making it smaller and smaller. If you keep saying, I don't want this, I only want black men, you're missing all these opportunities. I'm more open to it now. I'll be honest.
Me
For
too.
years I wasn't dating anybody
either.
white or any other color. But now it's like we're excelling. And we can't, when it comes to our dating world, we've got to also be open to that. We are black men. We're loyal. We're very, very loyal. And that's why we excel so well in business and everything else because we are very loyal. But when it comes to dating, let's face it, black men, they date outside their race all the time. If you look at most commercials that show an interracial couple, it's always black man, white woman. You rarely see commercials with a black woman and a white man. When you do, it's like a unicorn. It's like, oh my goodness. You rarely see that. But that is what the way that it's going. And I know that as black women, we've got to be more open to it. And I'll admit now, Trump made it bad for a lot of white men because, like right now, I'm kind of like, I don't know about white
Oh,
guys.
hell no.
You know what I mean?
Excuse me. Sorry. Sorry.
No, no, no. Because I just got on an
be
online.
real.
I got an online dating app now. I did it. It's free one. Did it on
Yes.
Facebook. So I set myself up, and I get
Mhm.
hit by white guys all the time. And now the
Yeah.
Trump thing would be like they could get me out and kill me. I,
Get out. Get out that movie.
Proud Boy.
Nice. You do. You do.
QAnon.
But you know what the thing is that it's about being open. It's like if you
Yeah.
want to date, you've got to be willing to put yourself out there with caution, of course. You got to be careful. But I've just learned like I've got to be willing to open up, and so.
Lori, I agree. If I
know.
met a man,
Mhm.
regardless of his race, we'll get
Yeah.
to religion in a second.
Yes.
because religion is more important than race.
Oh yeah.
Look, I had this discussion at the hairdresser today.
So I would date a man that I liked
Mhm,
that was not a black man. And
mhm.
but even the thought, see how that came out? See how that came? Even the thought makes me feel disloyal to black men.
Right.
Because I'm a good sister. And
Mhm.
any black man, if whatever you are doing now, connect with any of these sisters on this call and you'll do better. So I
Yeah.
feel like I need to take that over to the black man, but I didn't try them.
Have
So I
you
have to be
tried
open. I didn't
Jesus?
try them. And they try to stomp out my light, burn my light,
Well,
everything else. I just got to be open to doing what's best for
But
me.
you know what? Somebody asked me today, would I date an Eastern Asian man or something? I was like, as long as he's fine with Jesus, that's fine.
yes.
You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is
Yeah.
so she said, so my hairstylist said, so you couldn't date a man that wasn't Christian. I couldn't.
No.
I've thought about it. I don't know if that's
I
true.
mean,
You know what? I've seen some guys
I'm
that'll.
open to all religions,
Yeah.
but
But
being connected to me, because this is
Mhm.
what I do day in and day out. I respect other people's religions. I applaud. I celebrate. People know, if you know me, you know I post on every holiday, Ramadan, all
You
of
do.
them, every single holiday. But to be in relationship,
Okay,
because
Sam,
I would get in
could
the
you
morning.
date
Go ahead.
Sam, could you date a man that wasn't a Christian?
No,
Go ahead. Explain.
I couldn't. What? Who will he be praying to? That's almost like sleeping with the
Come on.
enemy for me.
Right.
Who would
Marty,
he be praying to? I wouldn't know.
I
N-
guess you have to find Marty, could you?
No, because I've done the list of my deal breakers. And that's one of my deal breakers.
Yep.
You need to be, we have to be, if we are not on together on anything else, we need to be together on that religion.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
That is the
Absolutely.
Because
foundation
when
for
the
me.
times get
Right.
hard, we got to be able to pray
Thank
together
you.
to the same
Thank you,
Jesus.
Regina. That's the
That's right.
foundation of everything for me. Everything begins there. It
Yeah.
begins with my belief system. And we don't even start out believing the foundational things. What else are we going to not believe the same?
Exactly.
Right.
How about you,
That's the way
Lori?
I look at it.
Yeah, I connected with a guy about a week and a half ago. Nice looking guy, professional and everything. And we were texting. And so he said, do I go to church? And I said, yes, I'm a Christian. And he said, well, I'm just going to be honest, I don't go to church. And I said, so what are you, atheist or agnostic? And he said, agnostic. And I said, well, my Christian belief is the core of who I am. I said, I don't mind being friends with you. I said, but when it comes to a dating scenario, I have to be with dating somebody who has the same belief system as I do. And he's like, okay, well, I understand. And that was it. But that's a deal. That's something that I can't, I have to be dating somebody who is a Christian. That is just the one thing. It's like, I don't care how great they are. I can be a friend, but we're not dating because it's like, I'm thinking about long term. So therefore, that's how I date. I date with a purpose. So it's like it can't be okay. He's missing this, and that. He's financially unstable. It's got to be you're coming to the table equally yoked with me and we can meet on everything. We're just about for the most part, you know what I mean. But when it comes to religion and finances, that's got to be on point. That has to
Deal
be.
breakers.
Deal
I'm with you.
breaker.
Deal breaker.
I'm with you.
Jesus is very, very important. I don't know if anybody
Mhm.
watched The Bachelorette. The last one was a black one, and her name was Taya, Tanisha, something like that. Really pretty girl. And I had this guy picked out for her. He was a black guy, and I think everybody watching thought she was gonna pick him. She speaks of her faith all the way through last season. She gets to this brother down to the end, meets his family, loves him, and she finally doesn't select him. And internet blows up. And then they go on to talk about why she didn't select it. She says, Jesus is the center of all of my choices, and he
Right.
is an atheist and his family.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He was
Mm.
yeah.
And
And I
she says that there was nowhere to go. And even look, me and Kevin, because Kevin's going through his radiation. Me and Kevin were watching, and Kevin says, "Well, dang, well, oh well."
Oh, so the black guy was the atheist.
The black guy was the atheist,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh,
she
wow.
And I'm
she
finding that,
liked
and
him.
can I say this? I'm finding that more and more and more. I'm meeting more Black people who are disenfranchised from organized religion.
Yes.
And I must say, for a
Wow.
while there, I myself went through a little thing. Never did I not believe. It was that with the organized religion thing, but I never took it out on Jesus to the place where I said that he didn't
Right.
exist.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You
I
know,
am
so
meeting more black
so
people that are not
but I'm meeting
walking
more and more Black,
in Jesus.
especially Black men, because it's hard for Black men to submit anyway.
That's
Can
right.
I just say that? And
That's
I'm not trying to single them out. Maybe I should just say men, but I don't know as many white men as I know
But
Black
let
men.
me tell you, Marty, I am meeting a lot of white men that are Christians.
Mm.
Evangelicals.
No, no, no,
Ah,
no, 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 no,
Mark,
no,
you
no.
crazy.
Just regular, just Christian.
Is
It's
it
funny
listen?
because
Is it Republican Jesus or
no,
Christian
yeah, you
Jesus?
know what? That's the criteria. Even the white men on the
Jesus
look.
back in the good old days. Is that what it is?
Lori, she could, on online dating, I can tell you this on online dating. Even the anti-Trump people, the white ones are saying, if you are a Trump supporter, please do not swipe right. Aren't they, Lori?
Yeah.
Like, don't even,
Yes.
don't.
Exactly.
Even the
Yes.
white ones are like, don't call me. Yeah, I am meeting more white men. I've met so remember, I went to seminary at my doctorate at a white institution.
Mhm.
So I was
Chicago.
surrounded by white Christians, Asian Christians, and if you want to talk about sold out Christians, Asian Christians are some
Mm.
sold out people. And
Mm.
I just so I've met more and more black people, male and female, that are not believers.
Mhm.
And which is it's changing the whole game for 50 and over dating now.
Yeah, it is.
So I didn't ask Sam, could you date out of your race now, looking at 50 plus? Marty, looking at 50 plus. I know Regina, Lori, and we can.
I never have, so I don't know about that.
If you met a nice man and he happened to be white,
I don't know.
have
Probably
you,
not.
have you ever met a white guy that you liked? I'm curious.
No, sorry, no.
Marty, have you ever met a white guy that you liked?
Yes, and I dated. I've dated several. Now in the time of QAnon, the Proud Boys, the skinheads, the parlor, and all this other stuff, I'm very suspect. I'm very
And
suspect
I think that's fair for all of us.
of
Yeah.
of of who I'm meeting and who and the motivation for them reaching out to me. I'm a very suspect, and I'm disappointed because I feel like, much like what Lori had brought up earlier, I feel like it has certainly limited my pool of people
Yeah.
to pick from, and I'm disappointed because my brothers, I haven't run into enough of them that are in a place in their lives where they're really ready for a monogamous relationship.
Mm.
I know a lot of
Right.
people are looking for these polyamorous.
I
Remember, I
know
told you
that's
that
a
is on
whole
the
thing.
rise.
That is a thing. That
I
too is
told you that
So
online.
was
look
on
Isn't
the
at
that
that.
rise.
I was like, what?
Look,
yeah,
you go online
Polyamorous.
dating, Marty. It's straight up. They just tell you that's what they do.
yeah. Because that's in now. That's the
Yeah,
But
in
can I
thing.
tell you?
it's a thing.
But see, I saw this coming a couple of years ago just because of what I do.
Mhm.
I've counseled, several people, and it was something that, I just feel like some of our women have given up, and we're
Right.
settling for these things. And I feel like that's a
Yep.
sign of giving up to me. To each his own.
Right.
God bless your soul if that's what you think you can do, but willingly sharing somebody, and why should he get to have all the spoils? Why, shoot, if I can't have it, you can't have it
But
either.
so, Marty,
I
let me
know,
ask you a
but look,
question.
I know some, but wait a minute, I know somebody personally. When I was cruising every year,
Mhm.
um, he was married. He's married, and somebody that he used to date years ago came back in his life, and he sent this wife out to, I think it was Florida, so they could get acquainted or whatever. She left her two teenage daughters with their stepfather and moved back here and became the second wife and changed her last name to their last name. And she had to go back to Florida for one of her daughter's graduation. They graduated out of high school, and but it's a real thing. People, and then they thought the guy thought that people were jealous of him, so he lost a lot of friends because he thought people were jealous. But nobody cared. Who cares? And so they try to hide it at first, but then they're open, then they become swingers, and they're inviting other people. And when we went on the cruise, 1 minute the wife would be with us, and then the next minute the girl would be with us, so they would take their turns. But who cares? Who cares? And they're our age.
Yeah, that's not for me. But I have to ask Marty a question since Marty, you said you have dated white guys. So let me ask you,
Mhm.
for those of us who are I've dated one white guy, and I'm going to separate and make him a little different because he wasn't American white. He was European white.
Hmm.
He was French, and he was French. He was from France. He came here, chose a black college, and that's where I met him. So they flow a little differently to me. So
Do they?
yeah,
Okay.
a little differently. Like my best friend's family, they are from Holland. That's who they're Dutch, and that's what they're different than straight up white American people. So,
Hmm.
what was it like for you dating a white guy? I mean, why did you date a white guy, and what was that like?
I dated a white guy because I was curious. I wanted to see what the difference was. And like I said, I've lived all over the world.
Right.
And I don't know in my experiences of living over the world if there's a real difference between Europeans and I mean they all come from culturally they're the same to me.
Mm.
That's been my experience. There's not really much of a difference. And we had the same problems like anybody else had. We had
Just like if
differences
you were
of
dating a black
opinion.
guy, same stuff.
Well, no, it wasn't like I was dating a black guy, but what I'm saying, our differences were differences. And so that eventually was what, just like it separates me from some black guys, it separated us.
Mm.
And but the other thing that was added on to that
Hmm.
was the racial thing. And it was the racial thing with going out in public. I mean, there were things that we had to worry about that I wouldn't worry about with a person of my same ethnicity and nationality. Like a black guy, I wouldn't worry about going out in public and
So, do
holding
you think it
hands
would be
and different
different
things.
in 2021? I'm just.
No, I don't think it's just like Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun. I think it's the same. People are just different about how they respond to it.
Mm.
Maybe instead of being so covert, well, now we're in this time of post Trump, people are very covert. I mean, overt, I should say, about their feelings, and they will say different things, like they used to be back in the day. They
Mm.
would come up to you and try to confront you or feel like they could police your body, police your space, police your actions or whatever, like they had a say so in it. And we would encounter that from both black and white.
Wow.
Like I would have brothers, I would go to the bathroom and brothers would be like, what you doing with that white boy? You should be here with me. But when I'm not with the white boy, you don't even look at me
Right,
because you're
right.
looking for somebody more exotic than me. But when
Mhm.
I'm with the white guy, oh, now you paying attention.
You're right.
So, it was a
Dang.
mixed bag. It was a very mixed bag when I was dating. And I'm gonna just tell you, there are things that inherently are men, women are women, and these are our differences.
Mhm.
But again, but on top of the whiteness and the interracial dating, I had to deal with our space. Where we went, would we be safe? Would we be
Mhm.
confronted? Would we encounter these different things? And actually, that became too much for me.
Mhm.
I wasn't in a place because remember, I'm in my late 20s and early 30s
Right.
doing this. I'm experimenting. I'm out here, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna try it." Say, "Hey, I'm in another country. I'm in another place. Let me go on and flow." Well, like I said, I found that there were some things that I just wasn't mature enough at that point, and I didn't feel like fighting for it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
because
you had met
I
anyway.
really wasn't sure that it was going to work anyway because that
Mhm.
person lived there. I knew I was headed back to the States. So it's just a whole lot of things. There were a whole lot of like barriers and stuff there. But I'm going to say people are people inherently because again, we still had our differences. But I
Mhm.
didn't find white men any different than I found black men.
Lori, have you actually gone out with a white guy or
I
anything like?
actually, yeah, I had like maybe 3 dates in the past 2 years with white guys. They were all three coincidentally all worked in education. They were nice. They were just kind of boring. I just didn't really connect with them. But I'm open to it. I mean, I'll admit, like 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, no, I'm not dating outside my race. I'm just not doing that. But it's like I think I also read that for Black women and Asian men, we're selected the less. We're the lesser of all races. It's Black women and Asian men. We're not chosen as often on these dating apps, and so therefore it's like it's harder for us to find suitable mates or whatever, to find somebody to date on these apps. It's a challenge. So that's why I know I'm learning that, okay, you got to open it up, you got to be willing to to step outside, but at the same time I'm cautious because, like you said, because we're after the whole Trump era and how white men are right now. Again, not all of them, but you have to be cautious. And for that matter, when you're doing online dating anyway, you still have to be careful.
Yeah.
You have to be careful. There's got to be caution. You have to do that. But I just find that I've got to start being more open about it.
Now, I don't know if anybody, I've gone out with a white guy, like I said, but
hmm
I've gone out with several African men, and that's a no go. It just doesn't work at all.
Yeah, I did. I don't. Yeah, I felt the same way. African men. I don't know. I just.
Culturally, it's like, whoop, that
Yeah,
don't
it's
work. It just,
right.
and that's bad. You're like, because we are
I know.
African Americans.
Right.
I got nothing
But
in common.
culturally, there's a big difference. It
There's a big
really
difference.
is. It
Lori,
is.
have you gone out with an African man before?
One time.
It
Yes.
didn't work at all, right?
It worked at first. I think I feel like he sent his representative to meet me.
Yep.
And then after maybe
Mhm.
5 or 6 months of dating, I saw something. I started seeing things that I hadn't. I saw a possessiveness.
No.
And there were just expectations of me that, first of all, I was young. I wasn't in any frame of mind. I was all about the party.
Mhm.
I was going out with my friends. I dated Hispanics and Latinos. Same thing. I dated a guy who was Portuguese,
Now, I've dated a
you know.
Portuguese guy.
And
Mhm.
and again, I found that, yes, the cultural differences. I found more cultural differences with the African, the Portuguese, and the Latino than I
And
did with the
West
white
Indies.
man.
And the West
Yeah.
Indies. I've dated West. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Mhm.
harder
And
to.
so I felt like, and I'm not saying this is about any, and again, I'm not speaking in absolutes.
Right.
I'm only speaking in from my experience, and I'm
Right.
not certainly not disparaging anyone. But when I dated the uh the people of color, the black indigenous people of color,
Mhm.
um, I found that there was more of a there were these more double standards. I was expected to do XYZ, but they were able to be free to do more of what they wanted to do. And a
Mhm.
lot of times, the polyamorous stuff came from them.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yep.
It didn't
Regina
come
have,
from the white man.
yeah, Marty, I'm agreeing with you. I can do white before. Regina, have you dated outside of your race?
Yes.
What?
White. I dated a white man. Um, the Africans, I don't even that excuse me. Excuse me.
We are African American.
We are
Right.
African Americans.
uh
Um, the persons that are Africans, I haven't really even tried to date because I'm not going to go through all of that. It's funny. There's a young 22-year old just out of college. She met a African man. He lives in Hawaii. and she got married, moved to Hawaii. I was like, "Ooh,
It's
girl,
already going down here.
girl." I was like, "Girl, you better live your life." But anyway,
Sam, have you ever dated anybody outside of your race?
No.
African,
no.
Latino, anything?
She said no. Look,
She said no white guy, but I checked African. I find the African men to be quite controlling
They are.
and culturally, and West Indies men to be polyamorous. They can really do what they want to do, and they think they kill you if you do that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Girl, I was about to shade Mister. Okay.
So look, so in this conversation, we have gathered if we would date people with or without degrees, race. We got that religion matters most of all. I want to hit that one more part that's come through a little bit. And this is online dating. So there's five of us. I had to count the little squares. There's five of us on the call. How many out of the five have tried online dating?
I have.
I have.
So it's three of us. I see Marty shaking her head. Sam, have you ever tried it?
No.
Okay. Regina, I'm gonna go with you first.
I mean, it's just like, well, look, in these COVID streets,
Yep.
you gonna have to do some online dating. I mean, I'm just saying, I ain't going to
Right.
meet you somewhere because where am I gonna be? I ain't gonna be nowhere. So anyway, but before these COVID streets, I looked at online dating the same as I looked at if I were to go to a restaurant, a club, a bar, a mall, a coffee shop, and I run into somebody. It's the same thing to me.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it. Um, look, y'all gonna laugh at me. Ooh, Val, don't let this get too out there. I just friended two brothers on Facebook just yesterday, and I was like, I kind of like their profile. Let's see what's going on here.
She getting like the men on Facebook now.
But
Controlling.
not. I just friended them.
That's fine.
One, we're in a group. One of them, we're in a group together. The other one, he's another pastor in the area. That's all.
Girl, go for it. Get yours.
Go for it, Regina.
What you saying, Marty? What is all that?
Girl, that means go, girl, gone.
All right.
That's what that means.
Oh yeah. So anyway, I'm all about the online dating. Online dating, and that includes more than just Match and all those other places. That includes Facebook. That includes all of that.
Okay, Lori.
Right.
I know you do online dating. Why?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm on Bumble, Match, and I think Hinge. And I've been doing it off and on for like, 2 years. And I like it, because it's like that's how people are meeting now. That's exactly how they're meeting. We're not meeting in person. And the thing is, like, I have like a step system where it's like first, I'll message somebody, on the app and see how they, if they can, reply back in complete sentences and things like that, that's important to me.
No, Marty, that's real. Because they send you
Yeah.
back some stuff and be like, okay, never
You
mind.
can't even write. Okay.
I
forget it.
block. Oh, it's not Lori. It's not that you don't respond. I just block them.
Right. That's right. Exactly. Keep it going. I do that. That's the first step. And then second, I may give them, we'll exchange numbers. Many times I'll give them my Google number and not my direct cell phone number, just so we can be, talking so I can listen to their voice and see how they are in a conversation. And then the third step we may do FaceTime, and then the fourth step, then we'll do a meet, let's say at a coffee shop or whatever, that where you can still go in and not, sit or whatever. And that's how I do it, but to me it's like I've got to be willing to try something new. I used to have friends fix me up, but it's like people aren't able to do that as much. So
My
it's
friends that have fixed me up, they clearly don't like me. So
right, exactly. But it's like this is right at your fingertips. So I'm like, hey, I'll try it. But yeah, I've had some good dates and some that weren't worthwhile, but it's still worth trying.
now I tried it.
Lori, I think that's a good process.
Yeah, I do.
That
I
you
like
talk
her
about
steps.
the steps.
Yes.
I have a
tried
Google
it too.
Voice also.
I mean,
And
I
I
tried
can't
it
put
as
my
well,
booker
so
for
I
it.
don't know. I have to see. Okay, so Sam and Marty, you all have not tried. I think Marty, I think I understand why you haven't tried it, and it makes sense. You just got to figure out what would work for you. Sam, why haven't you tried it?
Not interested. I mean, I'm just not. I don't know. I have several friends who dated online, and back in the day, we all afraid. Give them the license plate. Give me the license plate
I
number.
never did it back
Tell me
then.
what restaurant y'all, what kind of car he driving, what color it is. You got to be safe. Yada yada yada. So I just was never interested.
Now, one of the interviews, if y'all check LOL, I think it's episode 3 this season or 2, and it's an interview with Tracy. And I said the third time's a charm. Would you get married for the third time? She's been married 3 times. Her interview is really interesting. Our conversation because
Mm.
she's been married 3 times, and she will tell you she was the problem. She married 3 good men.
Oh
She was the
wow.
problem. The last man that she's married to, she met online. And she said she was the problem. And when he walked out, she was like, wait a minute, it's me. It's me. And she went and got herself together. But she goes on to talk about, they met online and they've been together, I think it's 10 years. And I have another girlfriend, she met her husband online and they've been married 20 through MS. She has been sick most of their marriage.
Mm.
So I know that and I do agree, Regina, it's no different than meeting somebody at the Giant or because where do you meet men now?
Right.
If you are out in the world, where are you going to meet them? I mean, what's the likelihood, Marty, that you'll meet somebody at your job?
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, you could get a lot of African men at your job.
No, I don't actually.
No,
Nope.
And
doctors.
and let's be clear, because we're all Christians. I mean, they could be at church, but you don't know nothing about them.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Right.
I've never met
That's
any
why
man
that's why I
that's been
do
right.
I am on
Me neither.
Christian sites.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh,
and look, Valerie, I know this show, this is going to be a part 2, but to talk about, Lori and I are going to go deeper about the sites that we're on
yes,
and
please.
how we present ourselves,
Yes,
right?
there you go.
Because that's very important.
Yep.
I know nothing.
So
Exactly.
so Valerie, that's another show. I mean,
Okay, because Facebook, you don't have to do anything on the Facebook dating app. It literally
The
says
Facebook dating one is really not even
oh my
worthwhile.
God,
It
it's
really is
such a,
That's probably
horrible.
why I haven't met one person.
Yeah.
I've
It's
blocked
not
about
good.
12
Mm-mm.
people though.
Oh gosh. Mm-mm. No.
Oh, your block game is on fleek.
My block game is girl. If you could get married from blocking. So, ladies,
Uh,
I have to thank y'all for being willing to LOL, live out loud, because it's not easy for women to say, I'm not going to date this, or I'm not going to date like that, or I'm not going to do this, because people are quick to say, oh, you think too highly of yourself.
Hmm.
Even other women, if you degree or not degree. And that's why this call was specifically, I chose my sisters who had a degree. Because if I would choose and mix with sisters who don't have a degree in this conversation, then it would have been a far more sensitive, hurtful conversation.
Girl, I barely made it in. I just made it.
Look, first I want to say, look, remember now, I went to college, dropped out, flunked out. Wait, flunked out with a .083. So, I don't know how you get a .083. What I have, 1D or something? So,
But
yeah.
but Val, can I say this? You
Mhm.
know, as a thing, and like I said, you didn't really go into depth because of what I do. I find that I guess I'm just afraid. And so I would be very interested to hear a part 2 with
Yeah.
Laurie and Regina
Teaching
ab-
us how to date
about
online.
teaching me how to go about this and being able to maintain a sense of anonymity. And I
Yes.
know that's
Absolutely.
difficult with dating online because people want to kind of see your face and everything else. But for me, it's an occupational hazard because I'm always
Sure.
afraid I'm going to encounter someone who I've treated in the past.
Mhm.
And I guess it would be no different than being a doctor and or a
Right.
pastor or whatever. But
Well,
again,
just
They're
in my
online.
Well, and
profession,
here's the other thing about online dating. Now, there's filters. So you can
right.
also say, okay, I want a guy who's between this age range and this kind of degree or whatever. So there's things like that that you can do where you're not just getting this whole, you're opening up to everybody. You
well,
can
Right.
filter it down.
well, I
Yeah, what
just
you
think
say?
it's just the fear of the unknown. Period.
Yeah,
People
that's
can be who they want to. They can say they are who they want to be. At that moment, they don't
But that's
necessarily.
what we're talking about, Sam, in terms of the screening process
Right, right.
to
That's
find out if
exactly
but
they
when you meet
are
a
who
man
they
in
say they're
person,
going to be.
but
right,
like
right.
y'all are saying though, if you meet a man in person, there's no way to know that they are who they say they are.
Right.
Oh, I get that, but it's just I guess it's familiarity. And
Right.
that's something that I am familiar with is the face to face. So again, I'm not saying that I'm close to it.
Mhm.
I'm just saying I don't know how to go about it to be in a place where I'm comfortable with it. So
Sure.
I'm listening.
Part
I'm
two,
listening to
part
learn.
Part
two.
two is
Right.
Yeah.
Lori and Regina going through the process of
Right,
telling you
because
how to
clearly
date
I'm
online.
wasting my time on Facebook, which I forget to even check. I'd be like, oh, in November, somebody sent you a message. It's January.
Yeah, but Facebook is a waste of time.
It
It's a
Facebook
waste
is.
of
is,
time.
and the thing is, it's based on people you're connected with
Yeah,
Facebook
that's
dating.
true.
Yeah, so it's like, don't even bother with that.
Okay, well, so part two, LOL Lord audience, I will let y'all know, pre-warn you when that's happening, so you can really get your pin. We need to know what sites are worthwhile. How do you set up a
Profile.
a profile, and then shoot, Regina and Lori, you might have to help Sam, myself, and Marty just pick. I handed my dating app one time to my son, Cyrone, and I had him going through it, and he said no to everybody. I said I do the same thing. He said, "Mother, this ain't gonna work for you." He
Can
was
I
like,
And
be
also
No,
also
no.
how you describe yourself is important too. The pictures that you use and the things how you describe yourself. I mean, all that is important as well.
All that is important.
Yep.
well, can I
my
just
my
be
profile would
on?
sound mean.
Sure. Well,
Can I
Regina,
be
you
on?
feel comfortable sharing your profile next time we have a call?
Uh huh.
Oh,
Can,
sure.
can
I,
I
Yeah,
be on
we'll
part
both do that.
two?
Can you be
Can I
on
be
part
on?
two? Yes.
Can I be
yeah,
on part
because
two
we're
as
going
the
to talk it
silent?
through. Lori and I are going to talk it through.
Okay,
Yep.
so
Because I'm
look,
just
so
We'll
when
share
you
our
saying,
take us
profiles.
through part two, right? Can we
Yep.
agree that we try for an experiment? Those of us who are virgin online people, can we just try it for 1 week and report back?
Sam, are you going to try it
For
Yes.
1 week, Sam?
for one
I
week?
can do it
Sam?
for 1 week, y'all. I can
I'm
do
there
it.
1 week. Sammy, 1 week. Come on, Sam.
Come on, Sam.
Sam.
Come on now.
Okay. All right.
Sammy, it's 2021, girl. Come on.
Girl.
1 week. So we're gonna come back together. If anybody is not have a date on Valentine's Day, because I don't.
Girl.
If y'all find yourselves available Valentine's Day, I will send an invite, and it doesn't have to be at night. We can do it earlier if you want to. It doesn't matter. And we can just take an hour where Lori and Regina, y'all might want to hook up and figure out who's gonna which part is gonna do what. And I'm serious.
Absolutely. We'll do it.
Lori, I'll send you a message on Facebook.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you guys talk, and then we will. And Sam and I and Marty will commit to 1 week. And
All
it
right.
may be an epic fail. We'll let y'all know. Because I don't want to
It's
work
worth
hard.
a try. That's all that is. And many
But you,
times it may surprise you, may boost your confidence when somebody comes back to you
But
and
if they don't
apply.
come back to you at all, you're just gonna go get in the bed.
Give it a chance. Give it a chance.
but you know what? We might need to give it a little bit longer than a week.
Oh yeah. I
Really?
always subscribe to at least a month.
I would
Give it a
say I
month.
would say maybe about 3 to 4 weeks. I would say that's like a reasonable time because any habit is supposedly you form any habit within 30, 21 to 30 days, right?
Mhm. Yep.
I might have to pray on that one now. Okay. Sam, could you do it that long?
I don't know.
You
I'll
can. Come
try.
on now.
I mean, I'll
You
try it
can.
because again, I'll try just about anything one time.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well,
Okay.
okay. Well, I know I'm in for a week. I'm gonna think about the other part.
You can do it longer,
Oh, no.
Valerie.
I'm
Yes.
gonna
At
try.
least a month. Do it a
Okay, look,
month.
for the sake of the listeners, I'm gonna try it and report
Yes.
back. But let me just
Yes.
tell y'all before we get off this Zoom call, and LOL, Lori found a Dolly Parton card, and it's being framed. My brother's getting it framed for me. A Dolly Parton, in the words, and I said in the words of Dolly Parton, find out who you are and do it on purpose. She found it and
Oh,
sent it to me.
Oh,
oh, that is so
nice.
sweet.
Girl, I don't know where you found that, but I was like, oh my god.
I always look for
Nice.
interesting things, So
And it has Dolly Parton saying it. So, on that note, thank you so much, ladies. Listeners, thank you so much. Again, if you want to support the show, you can do so on Kofi, um, Kofi, KOFI.com/living out loud. Subscribe. You can send me an email at livingoutloud50, the number 50. Plus at what is it? Gmail.com. Yes. All of the information is wherever you subscribe and listen to the podcast. Hope to see you guys soon as we get back together for this next show. So, in the words of Dolly Parton, find out who you are and do it on.